everybody, like the whole world needs to get copies. Good day C3 parents, I'm your coach Karien Pitout and welcome back. If you're new here, kick off your shoes, make yourself comfortable, hit that subscribe button. We love to hear from you, so you can drop us a comment down below. And what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about birth plan. We're going to cover 4 things about birth plans. So comment down below, did you have a birth plan? How did your birth go? And would a birth plan actually have helped you? So, the 4 things that we are going to discuss. The first one we're going to talk is healthcare providers. Now, when we get pregnant, it is important that we have a healthcare provider, whether it is a midwife, whether it is a gynecologist, someone that helps us keep track of our pregnancy to make sure that mom and baby is healthy. It is an extremely important service that is offered to pregnant people. And the reason it is there, I know, since the beginning of humanity, you know, we've given birth. Pregnancy, birth. Unfortunately, things can go wrong. Pregnancies can be extremely complicated and things can go wrong during a pregnancy or with either with the pregnant parent or with the baby. And having a healthcare provider that you trust, that you can confide in, that you can talk things through with is extremely important during this journey, because it's such a personal journey and such a personal thing to be pregnant, that if you do not trust your healthcare provider, it will complicate things and it can actually cause extra stress and extra tension, and actually make sure that the pregnancy itself becomes something just fell down there. Anyway, alright, so where was I? Oh, the pregnancy can actually lead to extra complications the more stress women have. Yes, you can still continue working. Yes, you can carry on with your daily life. Yes, if you have been exercising, you can continue exercising. You might have to slow down a little bit, in a sense, not as extraneous as you've done before you're pregnant. You're not an invalid, you're not a sickly person. Yes, if the pregnancy is there's complications with the pregnancy, obviously, then bed rest and taking things slower and all of that needs to be done. But in general, if it's a healthy pregnancy, live your life as you've lived it. Just make sure that you have a healthcare provider that you trust and that you can journey with. So what does this have to do with our birth plan? And this comes up when we talk about number 3. But first we're going to look at number 2. Okay, number 2. Number 2, in our birth plan, we actually need to decide when we're writing it up, or right in the beginning of pregnancy, we usually decide whether we want to have a vaginal birth or whether we want to have a C-section. Do your research about both. Make sure that you're actually well versed in what it entails to be pregnant and what it entails to give birth, whether through C-section or through vaginal birth. The pros and cons, the long-term impact after as well. Sometimes we focus only on the here, like the birth happened, but a lot of things, either with vaginal or with C-section, there's a lot of things that plays a role a little bit further on that can play out. So go and make sure that you look at all sides of that, because that is what's going to go into your birth plan. Now, there's some countries you have elective C-sections, and some countries you can't choose C-sections. C-sections are only used as a form of emergency, life-saving treatment, and depending on which country you're in, will have an impact on what kind of birth plan you're looking at. And this is why you need to trust your healthcare provider, because we are now at number 3. In our birth plan, we actually need to look at all eventualities. If you choose to have a vaginal birth and something goes wrong, what would be the protocol of the healthcare provider for something that goes wrong? We can plan everything to the last detail. We can have the tub, we can have the candles, we can have the music, we can have everything. Vaginal birth, baby also kind of decides when it's their due date, and they pitch up whenever they feel like it. But there's things that we need to know. If you choose vaginal birth, how far will your healthcare provider allow you to be pregnant before they start talking about things like sweep or induction or breaking your waters or things like that? How long are they comfortable having someone in labor without any progress before they have to move to space of doing a C-section? You need to know these things, and these things needs to be in your birth plan. We can plan for every little detail. However, we cannot plan for how life plays out, because life does happen. Nobody ever will have 100% the birth that they planned for, but having a plan gives us a framework, helps us to think about things while we are still logically able. No person while in labor is really prepared or in their mindset focused enough to make really important decisions, split-second decisions that might need to be taken. That's why we have healthcare providers, so that they can make those decisions. But if you actually have certain things in your plan, and you've planned even for an emergency C-section or for when something goes wrong, how long you are willing to let things play out, those things in your birth plan helps prepare you in the process, that if this happens, this should happen. If this happens, this should happen. And it's important to have those little bits and bobs together, because when you are in crisis, should things do go wrong or should life happen, then you already know what is the next step, and it helps your brain process easier what is going on. Will it eliminate the trauma? Not at all. Not at all. It is traumatic to have an emergency C-section, because everybody is then fearing for the mother's life, the child's life. We just want to survive. However, understanding that if this and this and this looks like this, we're going to have to go through this, it makes it easier to process it. It makes it easier to go through that and heal from that trauma. And that is one of the reasons you have to have those eventualities in your birth plan. And I know none of us want to talk about that. None of us want to talk about the negative things that could happen while someone is pregnant and while giving birth. We don't want to, because it's new life and it's joy and everything's happy. But we also need to take into account that if life happens, there's certain things that you would want to know, and how we as human beings function. It's just easier for us to transition in our thoughts and in our ways that we're doing things. The fourth thing that we need to do is you take your birth plan and you go and sit with your healthcare provider and you work through it. You work through the details, you can ask them the critical questions. Some of us have this really awesome idea of how we want things to go, and then because that we want it to go that way, and then our healthcare provider looks at us and go like, that ain't gonna happen that way. There's certain practices that our parents may have shared with us that is no longer in use anymore, so we need to get those conversations out of the way, and we make our notes on our birth plan and then we go type it out. Then one of the very important things is you need to give a copy of your birth plan to your healthcare provider that needs to go on file for you. Because if you go in labor and your healthcare provider is not available, whoever is taking your file needs to have access to your birth plan, to what you've planned. All right, so that's one of the main reasons you give a copy to your healthcare provider. The second copy you keep in your hospital bag or in your labor room. Doesn't matter where you want to go for or where you're planning on giving birth. The space that you are going to plan to give birth needs to have a copy. Once again, should something happen or someone else needs to take over, they have quick and easy access to what you need and what you want and what your requirements are. Then if you are giving birth in hospital, give a copy to the nurses who's tending to you, or give a copy to when you arrive there. Make sure that you give a copy, but keep the one copy in your hospital bag, and make sure that your birthing partner has a copy as well. The reason everybody, like the whole world, needs to get copies, all right, the reason for that is even we've had birth plans for both our stunning kids, and you're so overwhelmed once that little one's born. In our birth plan, we want to breastfeed within the first, the golden hour, within the first hour after birth, and we were so overwhelmed with the birth of our kids, especially our firstborn. Our secondborn, there were complications, and one day I will sit and share our birth stories with you guys, but we were so overwhelmed that we completely forgot about the breastfeeding thing. And our doula lady that was like nurse supporting us immediately turned around and said, oh, I saw on your birth plan you want to breastfeed within the first hour. Give baby and let's breastfeed. And we had a beautiful latch, and we started our breastfeeding journey the way that I wanted it to. Yes, we went for induction. There's a few things that didn't play out the way that we wanted it to, but thanks to the birth plan, our caregivers knew exactly what we wanted, and they really tried their utmost best to give us the birthing experience that is as close as possible to what we've wanted and what we've craved. And I'm significantly grateful for that, because if we never had it down in writing, there's so many things that would have been done differently, so many things that I've probably missed out. We probably would have missed out on the golden hour of breastfeeding as well. So a birth plan is extremely important, and remember, in a birth plan for about 2-3 days after the birth as well, for in case you need to go to hospital. If you were planning a home birth, you know what is the plan, so that your caretakers can know what you need and how to take care and how to meet you and how to help you have the birth as close to what you've dreamed of. And that's where we're going to end this video. I don't think I can end it anywhere else unless I deep dive into our own birthing stories, which I will. I promise I will give you a video on our birthing stories. Guys, hit that like button if you enjoyed the content. Comment down below, what was your birthing experience? Did you have a birth plan, yay or nay? And guys, stay safe. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I love you all.